Before we begin this practice, I'm just going to take a few moments just to set up. So you're going to need your bolster, potentially 2 blocks, maybe a blanket, maybe an extra bolster. So just take a few moments just to grab whatever it is that you're going to need to support you throughout this practice. So the first pose is supported butterfly. And we're going to start by taking the bolster or the pillows and just popping them behind the sit bones. When you feel comfortable with the position of the bolster, just carefully take the legs, just allowing the soles of the feet to touch, allowing then the knees to drop out to the sides. And if it feels good in your body, you can stay here without the blocks. However, if you feel a little bit tweaky or a little bit tight, just use the blocks. Just place them underneath the thighs, just to really allow the legs to release here. And then when you've got that position, just use the palms to gently allow yourself to walk all of the way down to lying over the top of the bolster. Just allow the shoulders to open, allow the forearms to release down to the floor, turning the palms up to the ceiling, just closing the eyes. Just allowing yourself here to tune in. So just welcome the sounds around you. Welcome the air around you. Just welcome in your space. And allow yourself to just become very present and very aware of everything going on around you. Become very aware of the breath. So the inhale. Notice how that starts to feel within your body as you're allowing the breath to come in. And then just notice how it feels when it's leaving the body. So the breath we're going to use throughout this practice is just natural breath observation. And as part of yin yoga, this breath awareness is actually one of the most beautiful ways to tune into the body. There is no force here. There's no need to control. This is just your observation of yourself, of your body, your breath, and your mind in this moment, exactly as it is. So just seeing how this feels, just becoming really, really aware of any of the sensations in the body that's maybe happening for you right now. Just feeling the soles of the feet touching one another, working up the legs, just bringing the awareness of that space in between the hip creases and allowing all of those tiny little muscles around the hips to completely release. Working up through the body, through the front line especially. And we're just going to take a moment to just pause over that space, over the chest, over the heart, and around the shoulders. So just draw in here an expansive breath. Just take a deep inhale and imagine it just expanding through the diaphragm, taking it all the way up to the collarbones. Just taking a moment to pause at the end of the inhale. And as soon as it's comfortable, just exhale, let the breath go entirely. So we're just starting to open and work through the front line of the body, so the front line fascia. Just allowing yourself to be supported in this position is beautiful. Just allowing the body and all of those intricate systems within our body that we're going to learn about throughout the course of these next few weeks. Just really allowing them to just release here. So just slowly take a deep inhale. Exhale, letting it all go. Now using the hands, just slowly allow yourself to draw the thighs up towards one another, completely relaxing the inside of the hips if possible. And then slowly, just draw yourself over to one side of the mat. Just sliding off of the bolster. And in your own time, there is no rush. Just starting to move the bolster out of the way. Just so you can come to lying on your back. So from this place, with lying straight out in front of you, just with the palms resting towards the ceiling, we're moving into a side stretch. So just slowly, just walk the feet over to the right side of the mat. And then keeping the hips grounded, start to then wiggle the shoulders to the right side of the mat. So we're starting to open out through the left side body. You can just allow the head to release over to the right here. And if it feels good in your body, you can reach the arms maybe overhead and just take the left wrist with the right hand. And again, if it feels good in your body, you can maybe cross that left ankle over the top of the right. Just wherever you are here, just close the eyes and breathe especially into that left side body. So really feel that expansion through the left side ribs. All the way down the outside of the left hip. Just see if you can melt here. So just noticing how it is that you're feeling. Whether you're starting to maybe drop in to the parasympathetic nervous system. It's this rest and digest state, which is what we're working towards here in Yin Yoga. So really allowing ourselves this time to just breathe, to just be. And allowing these deeper, more intricate systems within our body to actually be able to do their work. So enjoy this time. Enjoy this space just to be here and breathe. Moving your body in the most mindful way, between poses, between transitions, and allowing yourself to just fully surrender when you get there. So on the next breath in, we're just going to switch sides. So slowly allowing yourself to just draw the body back to the midline. Just take a few moments to pause here before working over to the other side. So we'll slowly just shuffle the feet over towards the left. And then just keep the hips grounded as you start to just wiggle the shoulders over towards the left. So we're aiming to make a bit of a crescent lunge shape here with the body, opening through the entire lateral line. So just expanding into the right side body, maybe taking the gaze over just the left shoulder and just close the eyes. I'm going to leave you here in this space and let you know when it's time to come out. Just breathe. Just really slowly. Start to bring a bit of sensation. Just maybe into the toes, into the tips of the fingers. If you did it on the other side, maybe just crossing that right ankle over the top of the left. Maybe reaching overhead with the left arm and the right arm and just feel that stretch and that opening even more down the right side if it feels good for you. If not, just stay where you are, allowing the hips to ground down. So in this silence, just notice what's coming up for you. Just notice. You don't have to do anything with it. Just see what's going on within the mind, within the body. And then when you're ready, just real slowly, just start to bring the legs back to center. Bring the arms back down to the sides of the body and just wiggle your way back to the center line. Now you can just take a moment to pause here, either drawing one knee into the chest and then the other, and just give yourself a squeeze. Or maybe roll over to one side. Just pause there for a moment before really slowly using the arms just to draw the torso all the way back to center. Making your way up into a seated position. You can keep the eyes closed throughout these transitions. Just try and move as slowly as you can. Just going to take a moment. Just bring in the big toes to touch. Just separate through the knees. And just taking the bolster or the pillows, we're working into a supported child's pose. So gently keeping the knees positioned where they are, the toes touching. Just allow yourself to sink the sit bones back towards the heels. melting the belly down towards the floor, towards the bolster. You can either bring the forehead onto the top of the bolster, or you can just turn to put the left cheek on the bolster and just turning the head to the right. Just walking the hands forward here, closing the eyes. So I'm entering into giving you a little bit more about what mindfulness does to our sense of self. So when we begin to pay attention, and I mean really pay attention, we begin to experience life as a tiny stream of moments. Each one of these moments is born and dies each second. And as you watch, you'll see the rising and passing of each moment, each thought, each feeling, each experience. But we'll only ever see this if we're truly, truly present. You know, when we get stuck in a memory or in planning for the future, the opportunity for that, it gets lost. So this idea alone is a radical shift in our normal pattern of perception. But our experience is not the only thing that undergoes this paradigm shift. Our sense of self is subject to this shift too. So I'd like to just offer this to you, that you too are a process. You too are a flowing river of thought, feeling, and sensation. And although each of us tries to construct ourselves as a static I, we then can view this to separate ourselves from everything else. And this concept on its own is a falsehood. And to hold on to it is to be obscured from the reality of our existence. When we see ourselves as separate, we feel lonely because we've denied the interconnectedness of each moment, each experience, and of each living being with each other. So just take a moment here. If you turn the head, just make sure you turn it the other way now, just so you've got an even release on each side. So just again allowing the hip space to release, and just taking a few deep inhales into the back of the body. So we're going to just experiment with this idea of solely using the breath to find the expansion and the exhale to release. So just really tune in just to how you're breathing naturally. So just notice how much change is going on in the body just with that inhale, just as it is. Just see how you can feel in your body in this position. It's a beautiful time to breathe into the back of the lungs here. Just notice that sensation. Notice the space. Beautiful. So slowly, just bring the sensation and the awareness into the palms of the hands touching the floor. And when you are ready, just start drawing the torso up to center. Really slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae, until you can lift the head up last. Just come into either sit on the knees. You by all means can take a moment here just to sit in that space, or come into tabletop and just take a few moments to have a little move if that feels good. And when you're ready, we're moving into swan. Okay, so if you practice regular yoga, you may know this pose as pigeon. So it's similar, except not at all. We're not holding this pose for the stretch. We're finding a release of a very different system. So just take a moment, come into tabletop position, and start to slide the right knee towards the back of the right wrist. And from this place, slide the left shin towards the front of the mat, maybe extending the left leg back all the way down. Now, if you've got sensitive knees, take a little bit of padding underneath that left knee. Now, this may be where you stay. Just allow yourself to be in this place. Or if you've got more space, just start to walk the hands forwards, and you can either find your way into lying over a bolster, and you might want to use a few bolsters for this so that you can fully surrender. So if it means you've got a couple of bolsters, or if you want to just prop the bolsters up with some pillows, do whatever it is so that you can feel release here. And then so slowly just start to crawl the hands forwards, coming all the way down. And again, forehead can be forward here, or you can maybe turn the head to the right, bringing the left cheek onto the bolster, the cushion. And if you're feeling open and you've got a little bit further to go, by all means, just you can allow yourself to melt that chest all the way down to the floor. So this is where yin yoga is a little different to regular yoga, in the sense that you want to feel comfortable, okay? You want to feel like you can surrender. So we're not looking for a pain point. We're looking for sensation. So the best way to describe finding that sensation, it's finding your edge. So you're not pushing yourself to the very end of that sensation. You're just pausing when you get to that place that you can feel, that's my sensation. And that is then your point to just hold back and breathe there. Noticing the sensation and then asking yourself what that sensation feels like. Okay, maybe it's hot, maybe it's pulsing, maybe it's a different kind of sensation. Just notice what it is and just breathe into that space. So we've got a couple of things going on in swan pose. We're opening through the front of the left hip, really starting to get into the psoas muscle, which is that deep muscle on the very inside of the hip joint, going all the way through the back of the abdominals. So we're opening this front line, but we're also working into the right hip. So if you feel here that you're maybe rolling out to the right side way too much, it might be that you just need to pop a little bit of a prop underneath that right sit bone, and usually it can feel really lovely to just prop yourself up with a little bit of a blanket. So you can just pop it underneath that right sit bone just to see if it makes you, gives you an ability to find a little bit more of a level for the pelvis so that you're a little bit more even. So really slowly, start to draw the torso up, and you can pause at whatever point. You may start to walk up and find a little spot that feels nice to just breathe into. And that's okay, just breathe there and enjoy it. And then mindfully, so slowly, just start to draw the torso up, and just use the hands. You're going to use that left hand to draw the left leg back up. So just sit back on the right sit bone and allow the legs to come together, finding your way into tabletop position if it feels good. I mean, I'm actually demoing in this video some little cat-cows here, but feel free to move in whatever way feels good for you. Whether that's a little child's pose, whatever it is. And then when you're ready, we're going to slowly just slide that left knee to the back of the left wrist again. The left shin's working towards the front of the mat. Sliding the right leg back this time. So taking any props that you need. So maybe taking the prop underneath that left sit bone if it feels good to just find the lift. Maybe taking a bolster or the pillows underneath your belly. You can take a block on top. So just get really creative with your blocks, okay? And you're going to get used to using these. It's just so that you can play around and see if it feels like you've got any more release. So a beautiful quote. So with this particular flow, we're working on a spinal restoration. Okay, so this is really, really balancing for the entire nervous system. So we're using a lot of different sort of ways that we're working through the fascia in this particular sequence. So when we move more into deeper hip openers with yin, it can start getting interesting. However, swan pose, which is this pose, can definitely bring up some things for us, okay? If we are surrendering to it and if we're allowing ourselves to notice. So a beautiful quote, which really is so powerful in yin, is you cannot examine something fully if you are busy rejecting its existence. Okay? So you can't examine something fully if you're busy rejecting its existence. So when we're working with the fascia in the body and we kind of get quite busy, you know, with very physical exercises, we can easily ignore sensations or sensation points in our body because we're not used to feeling them. Okay, we're not used to feeling into ourselves. When was the last time that you sat with yourself for a couple of minutes? Okay, even in a regular seated position, let alone holding some yoga poses for an extended amount of time. So this is our work in yin. We're sitting with ourselves. We're breathing and creating space for ourselves. So we can really start examining and exploring our inner landscapes. Just seeing what's going on in there. Just noticing anything that's cropping up. Okay, nothing is a coincidence. So if you're in any pose and you're feeling anything, like whether it's happiness or you've got a sensation of hurt or whatever it might be, it might just be at this point really light, you know? This is a new practice. But, you know, anything else, just kind of go into that. Use that as your sensation point. Use that as your present point to tune in with. And just seeing here if you've maybe even got a little bit more space to release even more. Even 1% more of a release into the bolster, straight into the floor if that's what you've gone for on this side. So slowly start to just draw the torso all the way up, using the hands to lift the body. And again, just pausing if you get to a spot that feels good. Just maybe keeping the eyes closed. You're just going to gently press your way back onto the left side of the hip, and then use that right hand to really guide the right leg back in. Okay, so you're going to bend that right knee and slide the knee towards the left foot, just taking any weight off of the hip space that you've just opened. Okay, and you might feel fragile here. If this is working by now, you should start to feel like you're in that really beautiful space. You can feel the body starting to release, feel soft. So moving into butterfly pose here. So similar to how we started, just bringing the soles of the feet together to touch. Using the props if you need them on the outside of the knees, if that feels good for you. So in this position, you're going to tune in with whatever it is that's going to be best for you. So we're taking this moment. You can either stay up straight if you're feeling like you're quite tight through the back or through the hips. You might want to just stay up straight for this, and that's perfect. However, if you want to start forward folding, you can allow the back to round slightly here. Now, if you have a tendency to round your spine throughout the day, if you feel like that's something that you're actually trying to counteract, you are going to keep a little bit more length here. However, if it's not, and it feels good for you to put a slight round through the spine, if you can start to feel that it's actually giving you a beautiful stretch, allow that back to round slightly. And you can bring the forehead to rest on the bolster or the block, whatever is accessible. Or if you're rounding forward, it might be that it feels okay just to allow the head to just be there and just be heavy. Just surrendering completely to the weight of gravity. Just breathing into the hip space. So with everything I'm kind of introducing in this video, just these small concepts just regarding mindfulness, yin yoga, I just want to point out that initially it can be so difficult to build our capacity for mindfulness. Because when we're first starting to come into a pose or a shape, there's so much happening. In fact, there's simply too much to be aware of. So if this feels like that's definitely happening for you, our first port of call is just allowing ourselves to grow our capacity for concentration first. So once concentration has been established, then we can start to build on our capacity for mindfulness. So mindfulness is the more valuable of the two, and it's that will lead you to profound insights. But that's a practice, okay? And that is what we're working to develop here. So this concentration point is the best thing happening for you right now, okay? If that means you're working into feeling every sensation in your body and out of body, that's perfect. So just notice whatever it is that's coming up for you, and know that you're exactly where you need to be in this practice and on a broader scale. Nothing's a coincidence. So just slowly, just start to bring the awareness into the palms of the hands, touching the earth, into the hips, into the body. We're going to really, really slowly here just start to draw the torso all the way back up. So vertebrae by vertebrae, leaving the head to lift last, coming up to your seated position. And then use the hands to guide the thighs back together so the knees and the feet come to the floor. So just slowly taking a moment, just melt your way back down towards the floor. So you're just gonna just slowly roll all the way down, coming into a lying position on the mat. So just take your bolster and just pop it to the left side of the mat. And of course, when I keep saying bolster, I mean pillow, I mean whatever you've got. We're going to cross the right thigh over the top of the left thigh. And then use that left hand just to slowly draw the right knee all the way over until both of the knees touch the bolster. And then when you're there, you can just slowly start to keep the shoulders plugged down and take the gaze over the right shoulder, opening out the arm into a position that feels like you've got a release going on. And just close the eyes. So you've been really quiet up to this point, and we've been focusing on the breath and the breathing. I would like to invite you to start feeling into the more subtle energy going on within the body. Just notice that when you've now entered into this pose, notice whether you feel a difference in a shift of energy within you. Maybe you've got a slightly more energizing feeling sort of going on within this pose, and it might be so subtle. There also might be so much going on for you right now with release in the physical body that you're kind of more focused on, that you might not notice that, which is perfect. Let's just notice. Maybe you feel a little bit more sensation through the right side of the body here. Maybe over the top of the right hip. Maybe in the right side of the ribs. And just be there, just feel into that sensation. Breathe into that sensation. Expand into that sensation. Life becomes so much easier when we can learn to feel supported. Okay? Seeing how much we can observe in this practice of yin to what we can apply to life. This idea that to expand and to grow and to find this space, that first we just need to ground and be in that space. So when you're ready, we're just going to switch sides. So slowly just draw the knees back to center and draw the gaze back to center. Just take the bolster to the other side of the mat. And then crossing the left thigh over the top of the right. Just draw the knees in slightly. Allow the knees to come over to the right side. And turn the gaze over that left shoulder. And you can use whatever arm position you need to here. So using this idea of finding the grounding first, just take a moment to just think, where can I ground more? How can I ground more in my life? How can I do this to expand, to grow? What areas of my life do I need to find more stillness in? Beautiful. Just enjoy the sensations. Enjoy this release in the body. Just observing the breath as it comes in and out, just exactly as it is. Observing the body exactly as it is. So slowly, when you're feeling ready, just going to start drawing the gaze back to the center line. And then just slowly moving the knees back. Just readjusting through the sit bones, through the hips, just so that you're even on the mat. Just one leg at a time. Just draw them in towards the chest. Just gently give yourself a hug. If it feels good, just moving, just gently from side to side. Just keeping the eyes closed the entire time. Just allows you to just journey inside a little easier with the eyes closed. So just be here, checking in with any subtle energies going on. Maybe it just feels real nice just to be in this space. And then when you're ready, just really slowly allowing yourself to release the legs. We are coming into Shavasana. So by all means here, you can stay for as long as you need to. And you can prop for this in any way that you need to. So just maybe taking something under the knees, allow the legs to come out mat distance apart, let the feet relax out to the sides. Just draw the tailbone under and allow the whole of the back to press and let go into the mat. Find some space for the neck by allowing the shoulders to just roll under, turn the palms up to face the ceiling. Just let go here. Just be here. Just allowing yourself to sink in the whole of the weight of your body into the floor and feel how supported you are in this pose. Just letting all of the little facial muscles release. The fingers, the toes. Just let everything go. So you can spend, as I said, any amount of time here that you wish to. What I would really recommend that you do after this time here is taking a journal and a pen and just spending some time just write anything that's come up for you, anything that comes up for you when you finish this practice. just to really close it off. So enjoy this. I recommend you stay here for another 5 or 10 minutes.